But frankly, the story isn't really here at the moment. Everyone's got their eyes on Turkey, where Zelensky isn't even there. He sent his officials because Putin's not showing up. Donald Trump didn't show up. So a bit of a damp squib there. But for the first time, at the same time, you've got all the EU leaders hobnobbing, working out what on earth they're going to do if Donald Trump pulls the plug on Ukraine. At the same time, as for the first time in 3 years, Ukrainian officials and Russian officials are in the same room, very much not shaking hands.
Right. Peace talks between Russia and Ukraine are taking place in Istanbul without either Vladimir Putin or President Zelensky in attendance. Speaking earlier, Donald Trump said he wants to facilitate a face-to-face meeting as soon as possible.
I think it's time for us to just do it. I said, they all said Putin was going and Zelensky was going, and I said, if I don't go, I guarantee Putin's not going. And he didn't go, and I understand that, but we're going to get it. We're going to get it done. We got to get it done.
So Keir Starmer responded to Putin's no-show this morning whilst on a trip to Tirana in Albania.
Well, I think that what we saw yesterday and overnight is yet more evidence that Putin is not serious about peace. He's been dragging his heels, and I think it's really important, therefore, that we have absolute unity with our allies. We'll be working on that again today to be clear that there must be a ceasefire, but also to be clear that should there not be a ceasefire, then we will act together in relation to sanctions.
Well, if the Prime Minister wasn't already feeling under pressure and stressed out, he's also been accompanied by the political editor of The Sun, Harry Cole, who is in Tirana with him now. Welcome to the show, Harry.
My lord, it's an honour.
Poor old Keir Starmer. Are you asking him difficult questions? Because, of course, he had that Albanian debacle yesterday. I don't understand how a well-oiled machine can put a Prime Minister at a press conference where the other Prime Minister is going to basically say, I don't agree with your policy that you've just briefed out.
It was unfortunate. Now, so I don't know if you remember from your ministerial days, but these trips tend to have a bit of a formula to them, as we all sort of go out, get on the plane on the night before the big day. We try to sort of pepper all sorts of questions at the Prime Minister and his officials and various people travelling with him, and they were being very coy. They were being very vague. They were saying they weren't leaning in, as they say, to this idea of these return hubs, this third country processing of failed asylum seekers. And we all knew they were planning to announce it, but they were being very, very annoying, and they weren't really sort of playing ball on it. And so we presumed they had a sort of rabbit out of their hat, which would be Albania, given that we were on our way to Albania. Then, dragged us all down to a port at 8 a.m. yesterday morning, announced the whole thing, and then 20 minutes later, the Albanians said, no dice. And so, which has apparently been a long-standing position of Albania, that they're in a
relationship,
a marriage with Italy, who they've done the deal with, and they're saying, well, look, we've done it with Italy, so it's up to other countries to do it with other countries in Britain. And he said, we're in a marriage with Italy, everything else is just love. As Keir Starmer was standing next to, frankly, the absolute ginormous premier of
6'5" or something.
He is a big lad, and it made for some interesting visuals and some interesting write-ups, as you've seen in the Times and the Sun this morning.
And of course, because this is the European political community, not the European Union, Zelensky and Ukraine dominates. What are people saying about this non-summit?
Well, the EPC where we're at now in Tirana, well, I say I'm in a hotel. It's actually very nice. It's about a mile down the road, and we're on our way there over there in a moment. But essentially, this isn't really an EU summit. As you say, it's EU plus. There's about 38 countries here, and it's all about the fringes. It's all about who can he have brush pies with and sit down and talk. So already this morning, he's spoken to the French. He's spoken to the Germans. He's been with Zelensky. Mark Rutte from NATO is, Mark Rutte from NATO is here, I believe. So it's all there's lots of sort of the fringes of the summit are where it's at. So this was something that was set up by Macron about 3 or 4 years ago, and it's all about sort of the EU plus its satellites. So very much the UK, but also the Balkan countries and some of the other countries in the regions that are near the EU. So everyone has to have a chinwag. But frankly, the story isn't really here at the moment. Everyone's got their eyes on Turkey, where Zelensky isn't even there. He sent his officials because Putin's not showing up. Donald Trump didn't show up. So a bit of a damp squib there. But for the first time, you've got all the EU leaders hobnobbing, working out what on earth they're going to do if Donald Trump pulls the plug on Ukraine at the same time as, for the first time in 3 years, Ukrainian officials and Russian officials are in the same room, very much not shaking hands.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Harry Cole, political editor of The Sun, updating us on the European political community meeting in Tirana in Albania.
Україна зацікавлена. Ми домовились з президентом Ердоганом, що наша група, турецька група, буде присутня. Ми обов'язково проведемо зустріч з американськими, з турецькими, з українськими групами. Така зустріч буде. Ми обов'язково проведемо зустріч в форматі із російською стороною. Надіюсь, що ця зустріч станеться все ж таки. І це була не тільки показуха, а все ж таки з'явиться час зустрічі. Ну і адженда, вони, в принципі, мандат наша група знає. Я думаю, що він абсолютно зрозумілий. Будуть готові зустрічатись. Зараз ми очікуємо від американської, турецької сторони якихось відповідних сигналів. Я б сказав би конкретики, о котрій годині зустрічаються групи сьогодні, або о котрій годині зустрічаються групи завтра. Наша група, яку я відправляю в Стамбул, завтра буде там. Тобто ніхто ламати хоч крихку можливість з боку України не буде. Ми будемо конструктивними, будемо присутніми в різних форматах, які будуть домовлені. Але начальнику Генштабу поки що, голові Служби безпеки і ще кільком людям, які в нашій делегації, які зараз зі мною приїхали, і відповідно мені також нема що робити, тому що Путін не прилетів поки що, або зовсім, ніхто це не знає, цього не знає. І президент Трамп, він дав сигнал, що може з'явитись, окрім цього сигналу, я думаю, який був в медіа відкритим, у нас нічого, іншої інформації немає. Дивіться, питання в тому, що вже не перший раз відбуваються перемовини. Перемовини в різних форматах. Ви бачили і Саудівську Аравію, ви бачили кілька зустрічей, ви бачили також зустрічі і в Лондоні, і у Франції зустрічі на різних майданчиках. Сьогодні Туреччина. Це дуже непросто говорити в тому чи іншому форматі з представниками Російської Федерації. Там вони разом не могли спілкуватись, ви це знаєте, в Саудівській Аравії були трішки різні формати. Так, це була можливість, тому що Росія запропонувала в медіа, що Путін готовий до прямих перемовин. Я дійсно одразу відреагував. Він сказав дату. Я відреагував, що ми будемо. Я буду в цю дату. Потім з'явилася інша інформація, що іще невідомо, тощо. Тобто, це поки що балачки.